Well, hello again, to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Ellie of Georgia Beer Reviews back at you this evening with the first ever edition of Beer Buddies. And I've already screwed it up. Here we go. All right. And we've already got some people in the chat. We've got Burley. We've got Womack. Cheers. Thanks for stopping by. So my first guest for the very first episode of Beer Buddies, he is a home brewer. He has a great YouTube channel. He lives up in the state of New Hampshire. And let's go ahead and bring him on without further ado. Bumpy Road Brewery, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Bumpy.
Hey, John. How you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for being my guinea pig, my first guest on this controversial show here, Beer Buddies, where we just talk nonsense and yeah.
Appreciate being your guinea pig first guest.
All right. We've also got Bart in the chat. Good evening, Bart. And I see, the things are really going well. For whatever reason, I took out my background. There we go. Let's put it back. Okay. So, for everybody out there watching, Bumpy Road Brewery, like I said, he's got his own YouTube channel. Bumpy Road Brewery is the name. If you're not aware, go check him out, sub him up. He is a home brewer, and he obviously drinks a lot of good craft beer. I see you've got some Modest Man there.
I did. I made sure I picked up some Modest Man just for this show.
Nice.
I know that you've liked at least one of their brews.
Yes, the most beautiful thing in this world. One of the best beers I have ever had, actually. Amazing stuff. And we may be going up there. Well, we will be going up there when I come visit in October. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm just going to drink. This is my first beer of the evening. I crashed when I got home from work. Was napping hard. So got one of the Pina Picante Cheladas from Modelo, which you're a big Chelada fan. So I think you would probably enjoy this.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Modelo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ones around. We just seem to get Budweiser only.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's too bad. The Tamarindo Picante one is really good. And then these Cheladas, the mango, they have a chili lime. And then now this one, they're not the Michelada. They don't have the tomato part in there. So anyway, enough about the beer for now. Let's get into a few questions. And I guess the first thing would be your channel, obviously Bumpy Road Brewery. So you are a home brewer, which a lot of people may not know about. I was talking to Caitlin before we got on here, and she said, I had no idea Bumpy brewed it was a home brewer, brewed any beer. And I was like, his channel name is Bumpy Road Brewery. Just like, well, yeah, but I just thought that was just for his YouTube channel. I didn't think he actually brewed beer. So I guess my question is, what got you into home brewing, and how long have you been doing it for?
Yeah, well, as of recently, I basically am not a home brewer. It's been 10 months plus since the last time I brewed. I really have to get back into that. It was certain reasons with the whole pandemic thing starting up, and my fermenting. This is my fermentation chamber, so I have a whole Johnson unit there to keep it at the temperature I want it at for the proper fermentation. And that became actually a secondary freezer and fridge to store food in. And It took a while to clear it out. So that was my major pause in brewing. And then I just haven't kicked myself back into gear and started brewing anything recently. But yeah, what first got me into home brewing was actually my wife for my birthday back in 2011 bought me a Mr. Beer kit, and that sparked my interest. I brewed when what I brew, probably 3 or 4 really crappy beers. They're all like extract brews, and it's very basics, but it gets you at least knowing some of the basics, and it kind of sparked that whole interest of wanting to do more, wanting to make something better than what I was making with that kit. Eventually, a friend of mine, he wasn't a friend at that point, but he was getting rid of a bunch of his brewing equipment because he had tried to get into home brewing and just it wasn't his cup of tea. So he had some equipment that he was getting rid of and gave it to me for free. So
Cool.
I had more things to kind of grow off of, larger carboys and stuff like that for fermentation. I could make larger batches at that point. Search for different kettles and stuff to start brewing. So it all started because of the wife.
All right. Well,
so
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. You remember you said you brewed some crappy beers your first a couple times. What was the first style of beer that you tried to brew?
Well, it came in the kit. I believe it was an American Amber Ale. I think was the first one that came in the kit. I did purchase one that was supposed to be an Imperial IPA or something like that. Later on, that was probably one of the last brews that I did on the Mr. Beer kit. So yeah, it was an American Amber. That wasn't my choice. That was just what came with the kit. So it was just kind of like,
right. Huh.
Let's try this out.
Well, you've gotten pretty good at home brewing. I've had a few of your home brews you were kind enough to send me over the last couple of years, which I've actually reviewed on my channel, so you guys can go check that out. My favorite, I think, was probably your most famous or most popular beer that you share with friends and that you make every year would be the Telly Porter, which I really liked. You also did the Bourbon Road, which was nice. But yeah, it seems like the darker beers, as a home brewer, maybe you can shed some light on this, or a former home brewer, I don't know. The darker beers are usually easier to brew, right? Less room for error, like versus like a lager or a lighter style, because if there's anything off with it, it would be like just extremely noticeable.
Yeah. Well, I think with like the darker beers, obviously you're going to have some extra malt character in there. Need to be like roasty notes, chocolate notes type. But I mean, you're putting in some more malts than you might be using. Like if you're making a pale ale or something, you may only use 1 to 2, sometimes 3 different malts within that brew. And so when you have like a lighter malt profile, your hops are definitely going to come off differently. They may be a bit too bitter on one end without having enough malt profile to kind of sweeten it out. So yeah, I think some of the darker brews are typically known as being easier to brew because of that reason. Yeah. It's all the same brewing process for the most part. So
okay. So started the home brewing thing in 2011. When did you start your YouTube channel? And what got you interested? Was it because of the home brewing that you were mainly inspired to start just to do like some educational type videos, and then you got into the reviewing stuff, or like what was the origins of that as far as your channel?
Yeah, the origins of my YouTube channel, I don't know when I started it because I never really intended on making a YouTube channel. I never really wanted to be in the public eye at all. So it was, I was hanging out with 21090 on their live streams and stuff, talking to them, and they became good pals. And they kind of said, hey, during one of these things they were talking about this, I sent them some brews and stuff, and they were talking about my YouTube channel that didn't exist. And they told everybody to go check out my channel. And that's what actually got me started in making. Because I'm like, well, people are probably going to try to find my channel that doesn't exist. So
Right.
I started it up, and my first, because it was like on a whim, so it wasn't really thought out well. The first thing was, yeah, I was a home brewer, so I wanted to keep my videos, basically my whole channel, based off of home brewing and home brewing only. I watched a number of home brewing channels, especially being a fairly new home brewer at one time. It was good to watch other people brewing and what they were doing, their techniques. You get little tricks of the trade or whatnot, or just ideas that you can run with. So I was watching a lot of homebrew channels on YouTube. So that was my first thought. But then I soon realized I wasn't brewing enough, and also how much of a pain in the butt it was to try to film everything while you're trying to keep things on a time frame when you're brewing, because it's like baking. You kind of want to keep it at the time that you need to get things in, like hops, your boil. If
Right.
you're doing a cooking channel and you have chicken in the oven and it's only supposed to be in the oven at 400 50 degrees for 25 minutes or so, and you totally mess up because you're trying to film something and you leave that chicken in the oven for 40 minutes instead, yeah, your chicken's going to be a little more done than you wanted. So yeah, it became kind of a hassle to try to film making home brew and stuff. And I also wasn't homebrewing enough to keep content coming out, especially as like a new YouTuber. It was like, if I was only putting out like a video every month, I probably wouldn't have caught on at all.
Right.
But I was also watching a lot of people doing, beer tasting. I was watching a lot of beer reviewers and stuff as well. So I was like, well, in the times in between me trying to film myself homebrewing, I drink a lot of beer. I might as well just start filming myself talking about what I'm getting out of the beer.
Right.
Eventually became trying to put a score to it and everything as well. So
Yeah, which actually leads me to my next question. People that watch your channel know that you do the whole 50-point Bumpy inspection. How did that come about? Were there like certain guidelines that you looked at to come up with that, or was it just a general? Was it just something you came up with completely on your own, or like what inspired the Bumpy 50-point inspection?
I'm trying to read his last name. It was a book. I got to add The Complete Joys of Homebrewing.
Oh, okay.
Charlie Papazian. In the back of the book, they give like guidance to people that might want to um, become like a beer judge. So they have these different formulas for judging beer, and I took the one, instead of the one that was 20 points, I took the 50-point inspection, and I
Yeah.
just kind
Okay.
of, put it in and into my own spin on it, because it's really for judging and inspecting home brews. Because a lot of the times, I mean, you're gonna get a professional brewery, they're not gonna mess up too much when it comes to like a certain style. So if you're trying to judge things on the style, and it's brewed by people that should really know what they're doing,
Right.
you're not going to find too many faults. So I kind of had to find faults a little bit where there's no real fault, and it became this kind of, well, it could be less bitter on this part. It just, to me, so there is a little bit of a me factor in there versus a style factor of trying to put a score to it. But
Right.
that's kind of how the formula came about with that,
Okay.
and hopefully it works for people.
Yeah. No, it seems to work pretty well. Anyway, everybody in the our little community knows about the famous Bumpy 50-point inspection. Um, really quick, I want to go to the chat. We've got a lot of people in here. Thanks for hyping it up on Beerman Show tonight. Beer and Cheese, which if you guys haven't checked out, Beerman, definitely go do that. He does some great stuff over there. Beer and Cheese is one of my favorite nights. I don't get to join too much, but it's always fun to watch and see what cheeses they're pairing with, all these different beers. And I think tonight was what, Colby Jack, right?
Yeah, every once in a while, Beer
the
Man will
macros
throw
of
out
the
a
cheese board.
certain cheese style for everybody to bring. Usually, it's bring whatever cheese you want to and stuff. But every now and then, he'll throw in a bring this style. So yeah, it was Colby Jack tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got BC in the chat. We've got Burley. Cheers to you. I don't know about that. Miscellaneous. You know what this is. Don't trip. All right. Bart Robinson. What's up? What's going on? Glad you're looking forward to this. Drunken One. Cheers to you. Ethan's beer reviews. He is a fellow Georgian. Cheers to you as well. We've got Kyle in the chat. Yeah, we got Dustin's in the chat. Cheers to you, Flacco. And yeah, just a lot of commenting back and forth. Appreciate you guys stopping by, Beer Man as well. That's interesting. Never brewed on his Mr. Beer Kit. Someone saw it new as hell in his closet. Yeah, you could still do it, Beer Man.
If it still has the how long ago was it that he got that? Because the extracts and stuff have a shelf life if it still has the extracts with it. So.
Wouldn't be super fresh. Josh, cheers to you as well. So yeah, let's see. So talking about beer, we drink a lot of beer. We join a lot of these different hangouts. Do you remember the first beer that you ever had?
The first beer I ever had.
First beer you ever had. Do you remember what it was?
I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know that it was an American adjunct lager. I think it was a Michelob product, I believe, and it was my dad gave me a swig out of his can when I was probably about 5. So,
okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think the first beer I ever had. It may have been my grandfather used to drink Red Dog, and he used to pour it over ice. And so I think the first time I ever tried beer was a Red Dog on the rocks, which I haven't seen Red Dog in years. They only sell it in like 7 or 8 states now, I think, but it is a Miller brand, so you'd think it'd be more widely distributed, but it's not. But anyway, that was my first memory of drinking beer or tasting beer. So when you started drinking beer, did you start with macros, or did you kind of get right into craft beer? What was your experience like early on with drinking beer?
Well, when I became an older kid, when I was still a teenager and going to house parties, it was the typical Bud Lights,
the Beast, Milwaukee's Best.
Yeah, all the cheap crap, because everybody was young kids. Didn't really enjoy it. It was just drinking to get messed up at a party.
Right.
But when I became of age and actually started purchasing my own beer, I started. I didn't really drink like the Budweisers and stuff like that. I would what I thought was crafty, which turns out that it really wasn't craft. It was just under the guise of being craft because it was still owned by Anheuser-Busch or one of the big 3s anyways. But I'd pick up Killian's Irish Red a lot. Smidwick's, I think they pronounce it Smidwick's.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Even though it's spelled Smithwick's. But yeah, I was drinking stuff like that for the longest time. I'd have Guinness, Irish Stout. And that was probably the most crafty thing I was Hoegaarden or Hoegaarden.
Hoegaarden, yeah.
That was another big one I would drink all the time. Every now and then I would grab Red Stripe. That was on my list to pick up quite often. What eventually kind of got me into craft was homebrewing. I'll get into that in a second because I did have some craft beer before doing that. I started liking IPAs when I first didn't like IPAs.
Mhm.
I was at a restaurant. The first IPA I ever had was Dogfish Head 60 Minute, and I took waitress, brings out the bottle and the glass. It's like, oh, this is fancy, and pour your own little
Right.
glass full of beer. And yeah, I just remember my first drink of that Dogfish Head 60 Minute, and I almost spit it out. I was like, whoa, total bitter beer face going on. It was like, I just remember thinking, who in their right mind would want to drink something that tastes like you're sucking on a sack of pennies? It was just, it's what it was. It was like copper penny bitterness. And, but I finished it, because back then know, didn't want to waste anything. I was paying for it. I didn't want to dump anything. So, um, I finished it. And by the end of the glass, I ordered myself another bottle because I actually was like, wow, it's actually not too bad. And so that was kind of what got me into liking IPAs.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, the other thing was the home brewing. When I started home brewing, that's when I really started venturing out and looking into different styles.
Right. Like
So
for inspiration
otherwise
for
I was
your.
just drinking a lot of IPAs and stuff. But yeah, I started like looking into all the different styles that you can brew, and I wanted to know what that style like entailed, what it would taste like, what it's supposed to look like, smell like, all that stuff. Getting hints even off of this was especially true when I was making my own recipes. So I do like get like a bottle of something, and some of them like you might find. I think it was maybe Rogue or one of those brewing companies would list some of the hops in the uh, barley malts that they were using. So it was kind of like trying to take some notes as to what they were using to make those certain types of beers and stuff.
Right.
Um, to try to make my own recipes and stuff with them. Try to keep them kind of close, but make it my own type thing.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, that's really what got me into drinking all different styles of beers.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I kind of started with malt liquor, and then I would go out and try different things. I think like the first crafty type beer that I had, which is Molson Coors, was Blue Moon. You go, you get the Blue Moon. They put the orange slice and everything. It's like, oh, this is fancy. This is good stuff. And then the old Magic Hat #9 from Magic Hat Brewing, which
Hmm.
I don't know if they're still around or not. I haven't seen
They
Magic
are
Hat in
they are still
years.
around.
But yeah, they don't sell a lot of their stuff around here. I haven't seen.
No,
But yeah, I remember the Magic Ale. It was like kind of sort of pale ale. It was like and it had all the fruit notes in there. And it was hoppy, but it wasn't like over too bitter. And I was like, man, this is like the perfect beer. I used to
yeah,
drink this all
I
the time.
think they use in the #9. That's known as like an apricot, not quite pale ale or something like that.
Right, but it didn't
I'm
have
not
any
sure if they use
fruit.
apricots in it
I don't
or
think
if they
they.
just use hops they give off the
I
apricot
th-
type.
I think it was just the hop profile that gave it that fruity character. I don't think they had added fruit to it, but I don't know. I haven't had it in years. I could be wrong.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, I kind of started there, and then I remember the first real craft beer that I had that really turned me on. I was like, man, I got to try everything now. Was actually the Monk's Cafe Flemish Red, and I was like, this is just crazy. It's like sour and it's malty and it's like I never had a sour for one, but I had never had anything like that, anything on
Yeah.
that level. So I was like, all right, I'm sold. I gotta try like every style, every different kind of beer that I can. And yeah, I've been hooked ever since. So
That style got my first perfect score doing the 50-point inspection. It was
nice.
the Duchess de Bouillon Flemish Red. Got a 50 out of 50.
Wow, yeah, excellent
Yeah.
style for sure. Burley says his first craft beer was Sam Adams. A lot of people's first craft beer was probably Sam Adams back in the day. Like oh, let's try this. You might like it. It's usually like a Boston lager or something. And,
Yeah.
it's got just the right amount of hops and the malt character really comes through and it kind of gets a lot of people interested in it. It's one of those like mass consumption, like pleasing the masses type of beer where it's not too over the top. It's got just the right amount of everything. So
Yeah. With the Sam Adams, I used to buy those variety packs for every single season.
yeah,
Probably the only variety pack out of Sam Adams that I still buy is the winter ones, and they come out with the ones right
really.
around the holidays.
I do, yeah, like the old
So,
Fezziwig and
yeah,
those are really good
yeah.
beers. The chocolate porter or the chocolate, yeah,
Chocolate
they got,
Bach.
yeah, chocolate bock. That's it. Yeah, they got some really good seasonal stuff. So this is a beer show. We're drinking beer. Modest Man, the one you're drinking tonight. Have you had what's the name of it?
I've had it. I've done an
Okay,
inspection on it. I can't remember what I gave it, but I did give it fairly high regards, as most things from Honest Man. Um, Balloon Mind State. It is a 7% New England IPA with Mosaic and Galaxy hops.
okay.
It's hazy. I do have a brand new one in my fridge, but I haven't tried it yet, so I didn't want to.
Oh, I
I
got
didn't
you.
want
Is
to,
it
before I do a video on it, I didn't want to have any clues as to what it was like. So
I got you. Okay.
it could be
Yeah,
awesome. It
Burley
could
says
be
he
bad.
loves the Fezziwig. Kyle had the Sierra Nevada Torpedo IPA. Yeah, that's a good one. Classic. I've still not seen some of the Sierra Nevada, like the Norwal style. I finally
Oh,
was able to try the Bigfoot last year, but I had never seen it before that. So for whatever reason, some of the Sierra Nevada beers
that
are.
one?
Yeah, there you go. They have a bourbon barrel aged version of that, which
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
I would love to try that if I could ever get my hands on it. I would definitely would buy a bunch of it.
Oh, this one's a pale ale, actually. Just like that. That's a
Oh,
new one.
let's get free. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to come up there and go to Keene and check out Modest Man. The best IPAs. I mean, everybody always talks about Treehouse and Trillium, and they're great. I've tried both.
Mhm.
Eric, Massachusetts Beer Reviews, brought up some Treehouse. Was kind enough to share a bunch of Treehouse with all of us when we met up. Um, when our little group met up in Boston.
I do have that Trillium for you though. Still.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Imperial Coconut Stout.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I was trying to think what beer are you talking about? Yeah, nice. And I'm excited for you to try some malt liquor soon, actually,
No
because you guys
liquor.
you guys don't get that, which that's
Yeah.
something I guess it's more I don't know, like the New England area, you guys with your craft beer and your you know higher average incomes and stuff. I guess malt liquor is just not really a
Well,
thing.
no, even the like we have some like I don't know shacks, if you want to call them that, run down little places where you get the town drunk that likes to frequent, um, and they don't even really have malt liquor.
So the
We get
town
like
drunk
we get
walking
like two
around.
we get 211 and Hurricane. And that's
Yeah.
all I've seen.
Okay.
So
Well, those are classics, yeah. But like Colt 45, Old English, like Schlitz, like these are huge, big, nationally distributed brands for malt liquors. So I'm really shocked that you guys don't see more of that because they're everywhere. I mean, anyway. It's interesting. I'll be interested to see
mm,
what you think of some of the malt liquors, especially because I was telling you earlier that's kind of what got me. I mean, I was poor, in and out of school, working, like didn't have a lot of money, so it's like I would just go pick up a couple of 99-cent big can malt liquors, and that would do the trick. You get some some of those high gravity malt liquors, 8.5%, 2 like 24-ounce cans, you're feeling pretty good. So for cheap. Ooh,
Got you covered there, Burley.
what's he saying?
Said try
Oh,
Spyglass.
Spyglass. Yeah, I've actually tried Spyglass too. Bumpy sent me some Spyglass stuff. So yeah, I enjoyed the Spyglass beers. I'm trying to think of the one that you sent me that was really good. I think it was the Ex Machina. It was a double. It was a really good New England IPA. So yeah, they make good stuff as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So beer buddies, first episode, Bumpy Road Brewery. We don't have to go on too long. I figure half an hour, 45 minutes, just ask a few questions and just kind of shoot the shit a little bit.
Yeah.
It's always good talking to you, and I'm really glad. Yeah, we had such a good turnout tonight. Probably because everybody watches Beer Man, so they're just they're coming over here because you shouted it out tonight. Bumpy or Beer Man says he hasn't seen you review Spyglass in a while. Yeah, what's
Oh well, I got one coming up eventually because I just did a video today.
Okay, so we can expect that in like 2 months when you.
Oh no, I don't have a.
Nice.
I used to have.
Big backlog.
I had like a backlog of like maybe a couple months worth of beers, and I've now that I've slowed down my drinking so much, tried to just a little bit, but I've slowed down my video recordings of me drinking beer. So now I just have like more beers I'll just drink, and I'll be like, oh well, I got to make a video and make sure I have something that I haven't done yet.
Yeah,
do it up. I try to get different. Like I don't want to just do like all of one brewery, So if I did a Modest Man one like a week ago, I don't want to do another Modest Man really the next week. So try to switch up the breweries, keep it kind of different, and maybe sometimes get some that are outside of New Hampshire as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think more people watch the ones that aren't just New Hampshire.
Right. Based. Yeah, I'll do like a Georgia craft beer, and it'll get 20 views or something. And I do like this one here, the Modelo, where a lot of people are going to be able to get this. This one will probably get a lot more views. I do have a few Georgia like Ethan's beer reviews. He does beer reviews on YouTube as well, but he's a fellow Georgian. He gets a lot of the same beers. So like I get some Georgia people that watch like the local stuff, but yeah, most people are into the reviews of the big name stuff that they can find. So, but that's why we don't do it for the. Well, I don't know. Neither one of us are monetized. Yeah. We don't have like these huge YouTube channels. We do it for the love of the beer and just to
Yeah, well, that's the one thing I have to say about YouTube, at least with this community, that I've made a lot of great friends. I met a lot of folks that we've talked to, quite a few now. We've even met up. So
I know if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't know you or any of the I consider all you guys in like you and Drunken One and Brian and Miscellaneous, and I mean all you guys are like you've become really close friends. So if it wasn't for YouTube, none of us would have met. I mean, heck, I wouldn't have a girlfriend right now probably if it wasn't for YouTube and the
and none of us would care because we wouldn't know you.
And right, and none of you would give a shit because it wouldn't make it. You wouldn't know me in the first place. So, let's see. Let's go back to the chat really quick before we wrap this up. We got Craig in the chat. Cheers to you. Kyle says he's showing his support by giving a thumbs down and flagging for promotes terrorists. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hopefully this will catch on and we'll, do an episode a month or every couple weeks, have a different guest on, and until I run out of friends. So maybe for a month we'll do the show. Oh man. But yeah, Beer Man, you gotta I'm gonna have you on here. I've got Alex the Beer Master coming up. He basically was like, you have to interview me after Bumpy, like, or else or else. So Alex is gonna be my next guest, and we'll figure out when that's gonna be.
You'll have to get Kyle after a fifth of gin.
Yeah, Kyle after fifth of gin. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't. That might not be a good idea. Maybe before the fifth of gin, just drink a beer. All right. Well, yeah. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I don't want to go too long. Let's just kind of keep it short and sweet. I appreciate you joining and being my first guest on the show.
I appreciate you having me on. It's fun. It's fun. It was fun.
It's fun. Oh, good.
Yeah,
I'm glad. I'm glad it wasn't too torturous and
boring. I just get up and walk away during half of it.
All right. Well, thank you so much to Bumpy Road Brewery for joining me on this first ever edition of Beer Buddies. If you guys haven't already, go check him out. Subscribe to his channel. He does great beer reviews, and at some point he's going to get back into home brewing because he does a really good job, and he needs to send me some more beer.
I got some new recipes I haven't been able to try out yet.
All right. Looking forward to that. All right. So we'll see you all in the next one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks again to Bumpy for joining me, and y'all all have a great night. Cheers.